Donald Trump and North Korea, a complex diplomatic relationship. Introduction. The relationship between the United States and North Korea has been one of the most volatile and unpredictable diplomatic issues in modern geopolitics. Since the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, North Korea has remained a central security challenge for the U.S. due to its pursuit of nuclear weapons, aggressive military posturing, and authoritarian leadership under the Kim dynasty. Donald Trump's presidency, 2017 to 2021, marked a significant departure from previous U.S. strategies toward North Korea. His approach was unconventional, blending personal diplomacy, extreme rhetoric, and economic pressure. His tenure saw both the highest level of tensions, with threats of nuclear war, and historic firsts, including direct meetings with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. This paper provides an in-depth analysis of Trump's North Korea policy, its origins, key moments, effectiveness, and long-term implications. Historical context of U.S.-North Korea relations. The Korean War and the division of the peninsula. The conflict between the U.S. and North Korea has its roots in the Korean War, 1950 to 1953. After World War II, Korea was divided into two separate zones. North Korea, Democratic People's Republic of Korea (DPRK), backed by the Soviet Union and China, adopted a communist model under Kim Il-sung. South Korea, Republic of Korea (ROK), supported by the United States, became a capitalist democracy. The Korean War broke out in 1950 when North Korea invaded the South. The war ended in 1953 with an armistice, but no formal peace treaty was signed, leaving the two Koreas technically still at war. The U.S. has maintained a military presence in South Korea since then, further fueling North Korea's hostility toward Washington. North Korea's nuclear development and U.S. responses. Since the 1980s, North Korea has pursued nuclear weapons, viewing them as a guarantee for regime survival. The U.S. has responded with a mix of diplomacy, sanctions, and military deterrence. Key moments include 1994 agreed framework. Clinton administration North Korea agreed to freeze its nuclear program in exchange for energy aid, but the deal collapsed in the early 2000s. 2006 nuclear test. George W. Bush administration North Korea conducted its first nuclear test, leading to UN sanctions. Strategic patience. Obama administration Obama pursued economic sanctions while avoiding direct negotiations, leading to continued North Korean weapons development. By the time Trump took office in 2017, North Korea had conducted 5 nuclear tests and was on the verge of developing missiles capable of striking the U.S. mainland. 2. Trump's North Korea policy, a radical shift. 2017, fire and fury, a year of escalation. Trump's first year in office saw unprecedented tensions between Washington and Pyongyang. Key events. July 2017, North Korea conducted its first successful intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, test, demonstrating the capability to strike the U.S. mainland. August 2017, Trump threatened North Korea with fire and fury like the world has never seen if it continued its threats. September 2017, North Korea conducted its 6th nuclear test, claiming it was a hydrogen bomb. November 2017, North Korea launched the Hwasong-15 ICBM, further escalating tensions. Trump and Kim exchanged personal insults, with Trump calling Kim Little Rocket Man, while Kim labeled Trump a mentally deranged U.S. dotard. Many feared that war was imminent. 2018, the shift to diplomacy, the Singapore summit. Despite the hostility in 2017, Trump suddenly shifted to diplomatic engagement in 2018. This was influenced by back-channel diplomacy, secret talks between U.S. and North Korean officials, South Korea's mediation. President Moon Jae-in played a crucial role in facilitating talks. Pressure from China. Beijing urged Trump to negotiate rather than escalate tensions. In June 2018, Trump and Kim met in Singapore, marking the first ever meeting between a sitting U.S. president and a North Korean leader. Key outcomes of the Singapore summit. Denuclearization pledge. North Korea vaguely committed to denuclearization, but no specific steps were agreed upon. Security assurances. The U.S. offered vague promises to improve relations. Return of U.S. soldiers' remains. North Korea agreed to repatriate the remains of American soldiers from the Korean War. While the summit was historic, critics argued that it lacked concrete commitments and was more symbolic than substantive. 2019, the Hanoi Summit, a breakdown in negotiations. A second summit took place in Hanoi, Vietnam, in February 2019. However, this time, talks collapsed. Key disagreements. North Korea demanded full sanctions relief in exchange for dismantling parts of its nuclear program. The U.S. insisted on full denuclearization before easing sanctions. Trump ultimately walked away from the summit, saying sometimes you have to walk. This marked a major setback in negotiations. June 2019, Trump's DMZ visit, a symbolic gesture. In June 2019, Trump made a surprise visit to the Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, and became the first U.S. president to step into North Korea. While the meeting was historic, it did not lead to any substantive progress. 2020 to 2021, stalled diplomacy and returned to hostility. After the DMZ meeting, talks stalled. Key reasons. North Korea resumed missile testing. The U.S. refused to lift sanctions. COVID-19 further isolated North Korea, limiting diplomacy. By the end of Trump's presidency in 2021, North Korea had abandoned diplomacy and resumed weapons development. 3. Evaluating Trump's North Korea strategy. Achievements and positive outcomes. Reduced the immediate risk of war compared to 2017. Historic engagement. First ever summits between U.S. and North Korean leaders. Secured humanitarian gains. North Korea returned the remains of some U.S. soldiers. Failures and criticisms. No verifiable denuclearization. North Korea did not dismantle any nuclear weapons. Strengthened North Korea's position. Kim gained legitimacy without making real concessions. No clear long-term strategy. Trump relied too much on personal diplomacy rather than institutional negotiations. 4. Geopolitical implications. Impact on U.S.-South Korea relations. Trump pressured South Korea to pay more for U.S. military protection. South Korea played a key diplomatic role, but was sidelined when talks collapsed. China's role in the Trump-Kim dynamic. China backed North Korea economically, weakening U.S. sanctions. Trump's trade war with China complicated North Korea negotiations. North Korea's post-Trump strategy. Under Biden, North Korea resumed missile tests and ignored diplomacy. Kim has shifted to strengthening ties with China and Russia. V. Conclusion. The legacy of Trump's North Korea diplomacy. Trump's North Korea policy was bold, but ultimately ineffective. While he lowered tensions and made history with direct talks, he failed to achieve any lasting denuclearization.